Resumes. A resume is a selective summary of your skills and qualifications for a position. Ultimately, you have one page to convince someone of your credentials. But resumes aren't just summaries. A strategic resume is tailored and proves a match with a position and its requirements. Let's go ahead and talk about some basics and look at some examples. Your resume must be no more than one page. To keep everything within a single page, you can play around with formatting, but make sure it's a professional font style like Times New Roman, Calibri, or Arial. Your acceptable font sizes can range from 10 to 12 point font. Anything smaller and your document becomes too hard to read. Your margin should be between half an inch and 1 inch all the way around. So if you're struggling to fit that one last line that crawls onto the next page with 1 inch margins, feel free to play around with them. Maybe 0.75 inch will be just the ticket. Keep your section headings bold and/or in a larger font than the body of your resume, so that employers don't have to spend a lot of time searching through your resume. Now, let's look at the name block. Your name will always be the largest text on your resume. You want your name to pop out to the employer, just like Tom Haverford's does. Do not include your home address. Most applications are online these days, and no one really uses snail mail anymore. Your email and phone number are sufficient forms of contact information. Also, as a safety issue, no one needs to know the exact location of your front door. The exception to this rule? An exception to the no address rule would be if you're applying to a job out of state, i.e., you're applying for a PR firm in Los Angeles and you already have a Los Angeles address. This will let the employer know that you already have a place to stay, so relocating won't be an issue. In that case, you might just suffice with Los Angeles, California versus including the street address as well. Include your social media sites like LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, etc., but only if they're all used in a professional capacity. Also, be sure to include your portfolio. If you don't have one, you'll likely be making one during your time here at COM. You'll see that a summary or profile paragraph is missing from the examples shown. In COM, we don't see these as necessary elements of your resume. Removing them will save space for your content, your bullet points, your skills, your education, and give you more space to elaborate on those. A summary or profile paragraph might be something you can save for later for your LinkedIn summary. For your education section, you're getting a degree from Boston University College of Communication, not just Boston University. It's all one phrase, no comma, and it's communication, not communications with an S at the end. Make sure you have the correct degree. Most everyone in COM is a Bachelor of Science, unless it's a Bachelor of Arts in Cinema and Media Studies. If you're a dual degree student, there's a specific way to write both experiences. You'll write both colleges and both degrees that you're involved in under one heading, just like so. Spell out the degree that you'll be getting when you graduate, i.e., Bachelor of Science in Communication, emphasis in Public Relations. Mass comm students are the only students who have to worry about the emphasis. So if you're a PR, Communication Studies, or Advertising student, your degree will be Bachelor of Science in Communication, emphasis in Public Relations, or Advertising, or Communication Studies. Feel free to note your GPA, just like Tom, if it's 3.0 or higher. Don't forget to list your minors. If you have a minor or a CAS focus, be sure to note them. Simply put minor in or CAS focus in. As for related coursework, only list the elective courses. Mandatory classes shouldn't get listed. Essentially, employers will assume you've taken certain classes based on your degree title. So if there's anything that's very specific to the job you're applying for, or a class outside of your major, or those major electives, go ahead and list those, but don't feel you have to. As for your time in COM, simply list your expected graduation month and year. You don't need a date range, and this applies to grad school and high school if you're an incoming freshman. COM grads should know that BU only has May, September, and January graduations. So while you may finish classes in December, make sure you list January. List any colleges or universities you attended or will earn degrees from. Only freshmen are allowed to include high school. Everyone else should only include undergrad and grad schools. Experience. Your experience will be listed in reverse chronological order. List the most recent position first and then work backwards, just like Tom does here. He's still currently at Boston University Dining Services, so he has present listed to it. This is his most recent position. So working backwards through time, we see Slappy Waffle from June 2013 to August 2015, so he has these ordered correctly. But notice down here, he also has some present positions, and then another June 2015 end date. Why are these not higher up? It's because they're in two different sections. The reverse chronological ordering applies within sections, within your experience, within your education, and then within your activities. Divide into experience categories by type. Internships, BUTV, Daily Free Press, Ad Lab, and PR Lab are all great examples of experience. Include only the positions and experience that will prove your qualifications and strengthen your application. If you've had 2 positions at the same company, there's also a specific way to write that. Simply put the company, the most recent position title on top with those bullet points, then directly below it, put the former position title and those bullet points, and make sure that the start and end dates correspond with each position versus the company overall. For your date ranges, the month and years should be unabbreviated. So January 2016 should be used instead of 1/2016 or Jan 2016 or Jan 16. Spell it out. Make sure to avoid seasonal terms like summer 2015 or fall 2017. The reason you should do that is because people have various definitions of what those seasons are, especially if you think about it on an international scale. Say you have a summer internship, summer could mean to you June and July, but for others maybe it's May through August. So be specific and spell out the months. For those date ranges, make sure your resumes have dashes and not the word to. For your experience, each position should have a city-state location attached to it, and you can abbreviate the state name. Always be sure to remove personal pronouns like I or me. Always have at least 2 bullet points under each position, ideally 2 to 4, just like Tom. You have done more than one duty or task at each company. This is your opportunity to sell yourself through the things you've done, so don't leave out anything that was substantial. Let's go ahead and look at Tom's experience. Don't sell yourself short based on your position titles. Just because you were a waiter or a dishwasher or a cashier, and that's not necessarily related to public relations, you can still pull out a lot of universal skill sets from that. Universal skill sets are skills that are going to be useful anywhere you go. Any position you have, all employers will appreciate them. Those types of skills include organization skills, time management, attention to detail, leadership, communication, interpersonal skills. These are all universal. So when Tom says he efficiently and effectively cleaned dishes from 2,000 students per shift, he's showing an attention to detail and the ability to handle a high volume of work. For his waiter position, he talks about how he served 100 to 200 customers per shift with high-level customer service at the most popular restaurant in town, earning up to $150 in tips daily. What Tom's doing here is he's showing volume, efficiency, context, working under pressure, effectiveness in his tips. Positions like these can show employability and a lot of great soft skills. Let's look at the activities section now. Tom lists Public Relations, Student Society of America, Boston University's men's soccer team, DECA from Pawnee High School. All of these are great activities to have. He shows some great skill sets in those bullet points, especially as president of DECA. He's talking about how he led weekly club meetings and led them to a championship for 3 consecutive years. As a freshman, you're allowed to have these activities from high school. But remember, come your sophomore year, you should remove them because employers are more interested in what you're doing now in college and what opportunities you're taking advantage of. For all students, freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors, even grad students, keep in mind that a lot of on-campus activities could potentially be relevant experiences. So if you're participating in BUTV 10 as a film student or journalism student, list it. Show the skill sets that you're acquiring and how you're using them actively. If you're doing Ad Lab or PR Lab, those are relevant experiences that you can list on your resume. Write your description bullet points as impact statements using strong action verbs in the active voice. Think of the situation, the task involved, the action taken, and the result. Each bullet must include the impact of your work. Show the background, describe the actions you took or methods you used to solve a problem and the results of your work. Don't understate your accomplishments. Think of your purpose. What function did they serve and how did it further the company's goals? Think of yourself as a professional in each of these positions. How would a professional describe these skills? For your verb tenses and your bullet point descriptions, use the active first person, past or present. So write/wrote versus writing/written. Present positions use the present tense and past positions use the past tense. Periods at the end of a bullet point are optional, but if you use it once, make sure it is used throughout. Overall, for your bullet points, you want to make sure that you're highlighting your accomplishments and being specific enough so that you make your description specific to your time in that position. If someone else who has your position that came before you or after you can say the same exact thing that you can, something's wrong. You want to make sure that you highlight what you personally brought to the position. Easy ways to do this, like our examples show, are using concrete details like the number of customers or the monetary values associated with your work. Especially with social media, you can quantify the number of followers or engagement increases that you've seen. Now for the skills section. The skills section is always going to come at the bottom of your resume. You can break it up into a lot of different ways. Like Tom has it, he has computer and then a running list of his computer skills. He's Mac and PC fluent, he knows Google Drive and social media. You could even break that out further if you wanted to do a social media section and list all of your social media skill sets that you have. But keep in mind, if you're going to list social media skills, make sure you're only listing the applications you've used in a professional setting for a club or an internship or a job. Now, he also lists languages. He lists his fluency in them as well. So he's fluent in Danish and knows basic French. Make sure you do the same if you're listing languages on your resume. Generally, you wouldn't list English as a language in which you're proficient in if you're an American student. However, if you are an international student, feel free to list English as a language you are fluent in as well as your native languages. Some other tips for your resume? Remember, consistency is key. Keep everything in your resume consistent. If one city-state is italicized, make sure all of them are italicized. If one of the dates is set to the right of the document, make sure all of the dates in all of the sections are set to the right of the document. Industry terms and keywords and buzzwords. Every industry has them. Include them. For example, in television news, the terms VO, SOT, and VOSOT are very commonly used. A student looking to get a position as an on-air news reporter should have these terms in their resume, assuming that they have those relevant experiences. The reason? Many companies have an HR department that screens the resumes before they get sent to the hiring department, and they may use a software that searches documents for certain words. So although you may be perfect for the position, your resume will get overlooked simply because you didn't include industry terms. Should you have your education section first or your experience first? It depends, honestly. Is your major an area of work that you've always focused on educationally? Is this a career change? Do you have a lot of experience? Generally, undergraduate students will almost always put their education experience first at the top of their resume under their header. It's because you're going to school for the skill set that you're looking to be hired in. You're learning the craft. Once you're further in your career and have accumulated a lot of professional experience, meaning jobs from after college, then that might change. But that'll come later. Overall, that's the gist of how to write a CompStandard resume. If you have any further questions or would like additional help, feel free to reach out to CommCareer Services and schedule an appointment with a specialist.